everyone, Joshua Myers here, and welcome back to my 31 Days of October review series. Now, let me just point this out that I do apologize if I missed quite a few days in this 31 Days of October review series. There's been times recently I've been not feeling well, like sick. Also, been having some dental problems. In fact, I'm going to have to go to the dentist this Thursday, so I'm going to be having to do a root canal. They're going to be having to do a root canal on me, so yeah. So there's that. Plus, also, I've been planning a Halloween party that I'm going to be having this Wednesday, so yeah, it's just been all sorts of busy, so I do apologize. I may end up having to push this 31 Days of October review series all the way, into November. So with that out of the way, today I'm going to be reviewing the movie Hocus Pocus from 1993.
It's the dawn of a frightening day.
Another glorious morning. Makes me sick.
You're talking about 3 ancient hags. How bad can it be?
Back after 300 years.
The more children's lives we snatch, the longer we shall live.
Are you boys a little old to be trick-or-treating?
I put a spell on her.
Wobble, in trouble. Brewing up magic and mayhem. Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Hocus Pocus, The Magical World of Disney, Thursday.
Hocus Pocus stars Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Marie Katz, Vanessa Shaw, and is directed by Kenny Ortega. The plot of Hocus Pocus is that it focuses on 3 outstandingly wild witches who have returned from the 17th century. Salem for a night of zany fun and comic chaos. After they're accidentally conjured up by unsuspecting pranksters, the tricky 300-year-old trio sets out to cast a spell on the town and reclaim their youth. But first they must outwit 3 pesky kids who are determined to foil their schemes. Now, before I get into my likes and dislikes, I will say this is the first time I've seen Hocus Pocus. Like, literally, I just got done watching it for the first time. I watched it with my brother, which he's seen it as a kid and seen it a few times, so I did not grow up with this movie, so I don't have that nostalgia factor into it. But while watching the movie, I was also determining on whether or not how I would feel about this if I watched it when I was a kid. Because this is a kid's movie, so I was trying to have both mindsets. Like watching it as a kid and watching it as an adult. And honestly, there are some things I do like in this movie and some things I don't. So with that said, let's get right on to the positives. For me, the positives would have to be, like, I did like some of the effects, especially when the witches are flying. Those look pretty cool. Now, honestly, the main group of characters, the protagonists, while I don't think they're great characters, I do find them at least okay, passable. And when it comes to the witches in this movie, honestly for me, I do like the fact that the actresses who portray them do seem like they're having a frickin' blast with these roles, and you could tell in their performance. And also, I do like the mood and atmosphere of the movie. And the cinematography's not that bad either. I do think at least it's much better cinematography than with Ernest Scared Stupid. That one was like, ugh. And some of the songs are nice too, like, I do like some of the songs. Now, what are my negatives towards this film? Honestly, for me, even though I thought that, the witches in this movie, the witches in these films are, like, they seem to have a lot of fun and passion for this role, I do have one complaint with them. Well, several. First of all, they are so freaking obnoxious. Like, they're so fucking obnoxious. Like, seriously, I hadn't been this annoyed with characters since Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Could the writers have written these characters to be not as obnoxious? Also, the witches here are not threatening whatsoever. even for me as a kid, I would not find them intimidating whatsoever. In fact, I feel like as a kid, I could probably whoop their asses. Because it's like, first of all, they're all stupid. Like, it's like, it takes them a while to, like, they, for the longest time, didn't know what costumes were in that. Even though, even back in the 17th century, there were such things as costumes. And when they arrive in present day as of 1993, it took them a while to figure out that everybody dressed up were in costumes and that, and were not the real things. And then they end up figuring out, but, and knowing that, they're complete, like, they're kind of klutz, actually. They keep on tripping, and then it's like, they even got, they got fooled by a teenage boy. You know, like, fooled very easily. And knowing that, they got their ass handed to them by a little girl. Like a child. And knowing that, it's like, they seem to make stupid decisions themselves. Like, they're trying to get over a gate, gate of a cemetery and they're just trying to climb over it to get there. And I'm like, why don't they just fly over there? They've shown they can fly. These witches can't fly. So why don't they fly over the gates? And knowing that, they seem not to be that particularly, prioritizing themselves in getting reaching their goal. Which their goal here is to basically get a book that these kids stole so that they could live forever before sunrise, and they just fuck around. Like, it's almost like as if they don't even care whether or not they die. It's almost as if their goal they've been saying is so important isn't really all that important. Like, they even raised a zombie back from the dead, and even the zombie, at first, which was meant to at first come off as intimidating, isn't even that intimidating. In fact, I found the zombie kind of funny, actually. Even as a kid, I would have not found that zombie terrifying. Knowing that, you also got these 90s stock generic bullies that I feel like it just came out of a Stephen King adaptation. In fact, this is what this movie feels like. It feels like it definitely feels like a Stephen King adaptation from the 90s. It really does. And a big part of that is probably because it was written by Mick Garris, who ended up directing Stephen King's Sleepwalkers a year prior. So, and I did got the Stephen King Sleepwalker vibe throughout this movie. Although Sleepwalkers, I gotta say, was a lot more fun than this one. So, also the main characters, again, were okay. I would prefer them to have more character growth and development than what they did. I didn't like the fact that they made the main character at first, a complete asshat, and nothing but a bitch and bitchy and whiny like a bitch, whines all the time, and it's like, it's like, yeah, you're going to have to try really hard for me to get to like you later on. Yeah. And at the end, I thought you end up being, okay. Also, the humor isn't that funny for the most part. In fact, there's actually quite a bit of dirty humor thrown into this, adult dirty humor that most kids watching this probably wouldn't get, and even my brother didn't got those jokes until he watched it now, and it's like, oh, no, I get it, and it's like, and I'm like, do we even need to have adult humor in a kids movie? Do we need to? In fact, if anything, that doesn't make you seem more adult, it makes you seem more childish. There were freaking, boob jokes. I'm like, there was also fucking sex jokes too, seriously. Also, I felt like the climax of the film seemed to drag, also the special effects weren't that good for the most part. The only one, like I said, I did like was when you see the witches on their brooms flying, and those were pretty good effects, probably practical too. There were, it looked practical at least. But also there was stuff like, for example, the cat and that, and they did digital manipulation to Cat's face and that, and it's like, it gives some off-canny vibes, and honestly, that the cat is probably the creepiest thing because of those digital effects added to them. And knowing that, like, the production design, I felt like I was just watching sets that were made on a soundstage for a lot of the time. So, like, this movie did not convince me that these are real places. Also, I felt like the endings, like the final climax, seemed to drag itself on a bit too much. I honestly felt like the ending could have ended with, a bit of spoilers here, but a lot of you have probably seen this movie by now, where the witches end up getting burned alive in that. I felt like that's where the movie could have ended, but it just seemed like to drag itself on, like it almost didn't want to end. And yeah, so I felt like the ending dragged itself on a bit too much. I felt like they could have shortened the film, cut out that second part of the climax, and just ended with the witches burning and that. And I would have been much more fun with that. So with that said, I'm going to give Hocus Pocus a 3 out of 5 stars. Honestly, for me, I thought it was okay. I mean, I did like some things in it, and there were some things that I feel like if worked out and planned differently and was executed better, I could have seen the potential of this being a really awesome movie. But to me, I thought it was okay, and honestly for me, if I have kids, I'd probably show them this on Halloween, maybe. So that's it for this review. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.